We did, yes.
It's all running together, yes. And it was so great to hear from all the member agencies in our community. So thank you for doing this. And it's I loved it when we did it in person, but it's so convenient to do this over our lunch hours virtually. So I really appreciate it. And I know you're recording these, and if we could get copies of the recordings so we can post them online, that would be great. For folks that are here today, they'll be entered in the drawing a second time, so they can send their contact information to me at cjbrowning@alaska.edu or UAF-events@alaska.edu. Either one of those will work, and chat me if you have a question about that. So thank you. And Marcia couldn't be here today, but she asked me to sit in, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that I can, but it was sort of last minute, so I feel a little bit unprepared. But I just really, really appreciate all of our member agencies for being here. Thank you.
Thank you, Carla. So I guess we will officially get started. Welcome, everybody. My name is Sarah Kanoy, and I am the Development Director at the United Way of the Tanana Valley. I have been in this position a year this week, and so it's been fun for me to get to know you guys. I think when I came in last year, you guys were at UAF or really at the tail end of your campaign. I got to work with Marcia last year a little bit, and I'm thrilled to have her as my UAF partner on this campaign. So Heidi Campworth is our office administrator. She's going to be monitoring the chat box. So if there's any questions or any links, she will be putting those up for us as well. So again, I just want to thank every one of you. I know it looks like, again, we've got a couple of folks that are joining us who have been on some of our previous presentations. And so I'm just thrilled that these have been informative enough that folks are coming back. And I think Marcia and I have really talked about next year's campaign, hopefully post-COVID, but utilizing this format for you guys again, because it really has been successful, and that way folks aren't having to come get in their cars and go somewhere else. So and any feedback you guys can give us too, if there's something that we can do to make these better, let us know. So normally I would introduce Marcia, but Carla introduced herself, so thank you so much for that. And I want to introduce Darlene Supply. Darlene is the executive director of, and there's so many titles, North Star Council on Aging, but I think most folks know them as either the Fairbanks Senior Center, the Senior Center Meals on Wheels, and Darlene was on sabbatical, and so if you joined at the beginning, we were welcoming her back because it's nice to see her beautiful face.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Sarah. Thank you all for joining and listening in to the Meals on Wheels Fairbanks Senior Center and how we impact our community. It's a great honor to be an agency with United Way. I have been here at the Senior Center and at the helm for 8 years now. And when we first started, we had $336,000 in funding that we were able to impact the community. And now we've have reached over the $1 million mark, and all of those programs are base programs to help a senior live independently at home. So I'll stop there, and then I can't wait to really go more into depth about what we do here.
Thank you. So I am going to jump into this year's campaign video, and every year we have a new campaign video that we share with the community. It talks about what we do, why you guys as supporters are so important to us. So I am going to play that now.
If ever there was a time to ensure support for our home community, it's now. Our neighbors, our friends, and our families depend on each other for help. Thankfully, this is what the interior of Alaska does best.
The United Way of the Tanana Valley is here, helping families, organizations, and programs that directly influence your neighbors and friends. Our focus is on the health, education, and income of those around us, and we are uniquely positioned to be the conduit of support for the interior of Alaska.
Our goal this year is to raise $907 in 2020. That's $907,000 from 2,020 donors. These donations will help prop up the struggling sectors in our community through our local member agencies. If you've ever wanted to hear about the impact of the United Way on the Tanana Valley, then you need to hear the stories from our donors and our local member agencies that work alongside us.
I appreciate the United Way because I feel like our contributions, our efforts towards the United Way are staying here locally. And that's important to me. I like to see the real effects. And I know it's true because I see these people working in our community and delivering services. I think United Way has a really important role because of the fact that there's a structure that is overseeing all these organizations. One thing that I can't do as an individual is, or it's difficult to do, is vet. Is this a good contribution to do? Is this a good place to go? How much do they need? What is the right value of the resource to spread it around? That's a real comforting thing for me. There's other people that are in that business, in that know, in that opportunity that can make those choices. I don't have to decide which organizations to give to. I don't have to place a value on what the organization's missions are. The United Way does that for me.
We feel that we have to be a good community partner. We want to support those people in the community who need help. And the best way we see to do that is with the United Way. I think the need is only going to get greater. It's not going to get less. And I think that things are going to morph. I would hate to see what this state would look like if we didn't have these organizations working for the betterment for all of us. It's amazing to see all the nonprofits work together and to everyone's benefit. Whether you're using the services or not, you're being benefited by those services because there's somebody that maybe works for you that is taking advantage of those services, somebody that you go to church with, that you see in the grocery store, your neighbors. There are people that are being impacted by nonprofits in our community, and that helps all of us, whether it's a direct touch or not.
These are just a few reasons why individuals like myself and organizations like Golden Valley give to the United Way of the Tanana Valley. A stronger, better community is a goal all of us seek to achieve.
For a small nonprofit like us, we don't have a marketing team. There's no way for us to talk to people outside of the people who already know about our services. If you don't need a soup kitchen, you may not know what we do. The United Way is allowing us to talk to more of Fairbanks and to be able to get our mission out to a much broader population. We're excited for this because it means that we're able to do our work and talk about that work to Fairbanks. Because funds from the United Way are unrestricted, it allows us to have more flexibility and deepen the service that we provide here at the Breadline. We're very excited to be part of the United Way. It's flattering in a certain sense because you see everyone else who's involved in this organization, and to know that even an organization as small as us is included in the United Way family is really meaningful because it just shows us that our work is seen and that our work is valued.
I think during COVID is a time where we're all very worried about our families, about our agencies, about the services we might need. But personally, I've found that during times when I'm stressed and worried, actually finding things that I can do to help others is very soothing to the soul. You know, one of the things that is important to us as far as being a United Way partner agency, it's really not just about the funding that we get from United Way, it's about being partners with the other organizations. We get to understand the community in similar ways so that we can plan services around each other so that we're not duplicating. So it's really a lot more than just getting money from United Way. It's about being a true partner in meeting the needs of our community. And I'm glad we have United Way to help lead the way as we do that.
Our mission here in the interior is to provide a safe and supportive community for all. You know, the United Way funds for our agency is integral to what we do. While we are the recipients of some federal and state grants, each one of those grants doesn't pay all the bills. Because these are what we deem to be unrestricted funds, they don't come with a ton of strings that say you can only pay for these things. What we're able to do is the things that really make life meaningful, such as celebrating Christmas, making sure that there's back to school supplies, making sure that kids' birthdays are recognized. There oftentimes are gaps. What I believe that we want in our community, whether it be agencies, whether it be as an individual, whether it be the United Way, is that everyone has an opportunity to live their best life. And that's what we're all here about, is making sure that everyone has an opportunity to live their best life.
Donations to the United Way at the Tanana Valley go directly to supporting our community's essential organizations. Without your support, some of them wouldn't be here. But with your support, they're able to serve the interior, making our home a better place for all of us.
The donations that you make to the United Way of the Tanana Valley are amplified in our community by making sure they're allocated to those that need them the most.
Within a community, there are always going to be pockets of need. As a donor, it can be hard to identify who needs your donation most. That's where we come in. We keep our finger on the pulse of the interior, which allows us to help prioritize critical needs within our hometown. Through our member agencies, your donation is routed towards the people who need it most. For example, even $100 can mean 1 week of food, 3 nights in a shelter, or 4 days of childcare so someone can work to support their family. Another benefit to the funds allocated by the United Way is that they can be used however an organization needs. Grants, while helpful, are only able to be used in very specific ways. But your donation through the United Way of the Tanana Valley is able to be used in whatever way that organization needs. It's the most flexible source of funding for them and enables them to serve in their greatest capacity.
Where there's a need, the United Way is there to help. But it's only through your kindness and generosity that we can make it happen.
Our community is full of people like you,
who are eager to make a difference
and help support those around them.
It's this generosity
that makes the interior
a beautiful place to live,
work,
invest,
and raise our families.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So once again, if you weren't here at the beginning, I would love to introduce Darlene Supply, the Executive Director of the Fairbanks Senior Center.
Thank you, Sarah. For those who just joined, thank you so much for considering United Way and the agencies that we partner with in our community to strengthen some that are considered the most vulnerable. Here at the Senior Center, every program that we bring on is with the mindset of creating a solid base to help seniors remain living independently at home. We are the fastest growing senior population of all of the states at a 63%. We had pioneers that came up here and stayed and are determined to stay to the end. And so here in the interior, Fairbanks North Star Borough, we have 17,000 individuals that are 60 and older. And one of our primary focuses here at the Senior Center is that 80, 85 and older age group. that we have currently 1,785 and older, and we have 250 beds. And the definition of beds are nursing home and assisted living homes. And so how do we help individuals that are aging in place do it safely? And when I first started here, we had the Nutrition, Transportation, and Service Grant, and within that funding source, we are able to provide transportation for seniors to and from doctor's appointments, grocery store runs. We do Meals on Wheels, congregate meals, and some homemaker services. So going in and changing some sheets and doing a load of laundry. You know, you wouldn't think about it, but until you actually start aging, reaching into a washing machine and putting those into the dryer is actually challenging to accomplish. And so those support services are meant to help somebody live safely at home. Then as we have moved on and this aging population is affecting our borough, we have brought on a senior companion program where volunteers are going in and helping individuals age in place by performing companionship, going to lunch, really making sure that we're not doing that socialization while doing services that help them live independently and provide respite care for those who are a primary caregiver. We brought on ADRC, which is Aging Disability and Resource Center. And again, that is like a one-stop shop for an individual, such as myself. Let's say that my mother fell and she is now broke a hip. And so they can call ADRC to plan out services as we're moving from a hospital setting into a temporary facility and then move into a nursing home if need be, or home, and what services are there to help that smooth transition. 2 years ago, we started home modification program, and where we were able to go in and do grab bars, widening doorways, removing a tub, adding a walk-in shower. All of those things are to enhance an individual's ability to, you know, rails on stairways as a safety precautionary method. And then, of course, the Meals on Wheels, which I think is probably one of our greatest impacts that we have on the community. We're able to gauge somebody's well-being Monday through Friday. And of course, COVID changed a lot of how we do things, but we were able to develop some more programs that was able to do that daily touch point for Meals on Wheels clients. Before it was a knock on the door, how are you, let me see you, emergency contact numbers if we felt as though that somebody was being, you know, disheveled or had fallen or was confused. And now we've replaced that with wellness calls. So we call them the Silver Squad. And so we have multiple volunteers. We are probably functioning right now with 60 volunteers to perform Meals on Wheels, wellness calls, and errand runs. To keep seniors safe during COVID. And so the driver is delivering the meal and putting the meal on the door, and then the wellness callers are coming behind and doing that touch point for them. We also have done emergency food boxes to help seniors remain in place and living safely at home. I think that for the community component, the meal's still hanging on the door or they didn't answer the door. And so we are actually able to respond to an emergency scenario where a senior has fallen. And we have had seniors that have laid there overnight or laid there over the weekends. But with the Meals on Wheels going Monday through Friday, with that touch point, that we're actually able to create a safety net where we can monitor a senior's safety. We had a gentleman who had come in and his mother was 90, living on her own, and he was running in there trying to create a lunch for her and then go back for dinner and then go for weekends. And we were able to go in and to provide a lunch for her through the Meals on Wheels program. And that if she doesn't answer the door, he knows that there is a touch point that's happening for her Monday through Friday. So it's that collective community effort that we are able to address. This silver tsunami wave is what it has been labeled at our state, and that we will we will have over 5,085 and older in our community by 2035. And that is a very large undertaking for a community to support the pioneers that built the community to be able to truly be able to fasten themselves in a safe way and be able to live in their place of choice here safely. So that's kind of an overview of everything that we do. I understand Sarah and we talked about doing a tour. And so I am going to take the laptop and I'm going to give you a quick tour. We do, last year we did 64,000 meals out of our tiny little kitchen that I'm about to show you. And that COVID sure has pushed us to our limits. We are currently closed to the public so that we can focus in on services out, as in like tentacles or an octopus, and then being able to do that nutritional program in a safe way to keep the staff safe, as well as accomplish that. Before I went on sabbatical, we were doing 145, and that was in July. Hot meals a day, and we are now over 225 hot meals a day now. So it's been a tremendous growth for us, which is really just, we started with 15 volunteers before COVID, and we are now over, like I said, 60, and 40 of those are strictly for our drivers and delivering meals. Sarah, is there anything that I missed? Yes.
Yes, and you didn't miss it. Can you talk for a second so you now have an increase in the meals that you're preparing and providing for our local seniors. Where is the food coming from that you guys are preparing? Are you guys purchasing that and then preparing it? Do you accept donations of food? I mean, I guess since there is such an increase, can you talk to us just for a few minutes about what that looks like?
Yeah, we prepare everything here on site. We do a dietitian approved menu that has 600 to 800 caloric calories each meal, which is half of a senior's daily intake. We don't cook with salt, we don't cook with sugar. And so everything is really specially prepared for a senior here Monday through Friday. We provide frozen meals for weekend meals. With this dramatic increase, we have kind of looked at it a couple of ways. Is one, how do we be self-sufficient as we move through a winter and what that might possibly bring for the interior? It all is a challenge for transportation to start with. So we actually rented a warehouse where we can store some shelf-stabled food. And one, to help alleviate seniors and their need to go to the store. And also, if something happens on premise here for us and we do need to close for 2 weeks in an isolation status, that we actually have a way in which to get meals out. We were very strategic with how these shelf-stabled meals, everything is senior friendly. So it's pop tops or cups of applesauce, vegetables. There's 3 ounces of protein, a cup of fruit or vegetable or a combination of the two. There is a half a cup of grain and a half a cup of a good solid starch in each meal. And so we were actually able to create those things in the shelf-stable component that we use as a supplementary and as an emergency. The coronavirus has definitely had us reevaluate our funding and where we're actually pulling and spending those things, spending money that we receive. So an unrestricted component really does allow us to go beyond what grant funds we do have. CARES did increase our food, which has been extremely helpful because we never would have been able to increase that many. It's taxing for the kitchen to produce the meals, but the overall cost of the meals have gone up. Fairbanks Food Bank, we've been an agency shopper with them, and they are an awesome asset to our community. But with the huge demand that we are not receiving protein or vegetables from them, so our food cost has gone up. And so we were able to receive some extra funding through our grant, which has enabled us. We are very good at stretching pennies here with regards to providing a nutritional meal and have it be healthy. And so, yes, it's COVID time. And so we're definitely keeping up with the trend.
I appreciate that. And I think one thing that, if I can toot Darlene's horn, something I think that has just always blown me away with Darlene is I think she struggles to ask our community and advocate for help. And so in a conversation I had with Darlene at one point, I'm sure you can correct me because I'm not going to get it totally right, but they needed some updates to one of the bathrooms. I think there was a bathroom there that was pretty much out of commission, and they had been trying to raise funds for years. I mean, this was not like all of a sudden I had this conversation with Darlene and all of a sudden they needed a pretty substantial repair. This had been ongoing. And I think Darlene was just slowly putting money aside for like a $20,000 overhaul. And in that conversation with Darlene, essentially she just said, well, it'll happen when it's supposed to happen. And, I think I look at your attitude and I feel like how positive of you, but the flip side is, I think I told her we need to help you get the word out about this fundraising that needs to happen. And so I just think that Darlene is so incredibly humble, and, hearing her say we're so good at stretching pennies here, knowing the increase that the senior center and Meals on Wheels has been hit with it's mind-blowing. So anyhow,
I jokingly say, people say to me, we didn't know we had a senior center. And I jokingly say, well, thank goodness, because I can't imagine if 17,000 seniors knew where we existed, that, we are pushed to the brink of our space limitation now. And so I jokingly say, but our invite is please, everybody come. Yes, we need assistance and that it's only going to increase as the senior population. A 250% increase between now and 2035 on that 85 and older cohort is huge. And I don't know if anybody who's here attending this meeting has ever cared for an individual that is 80 or 85, that the physical requirements to transfer somebody when they're 80 or 85, the cognitive or the decrease in that capacity, the night wandering, the short-term memory or long-term memory, the digestive issues, the immune deficiencies that happen, the medication interactions that occur. All of these things. I was given the blessing of taking care of my 92-year-old grandmother, and she required full transferring. And she is a large woman like me, big bones, and moving a 180-pound woman from a wheelchair to a bed to a shower and back. It really does take a lot. And then the night wandering and the night terrors that come as the brain is deteriorating. All of those things are the normal process. I jokingly say that you start with a walking device, you end with a walking device, you start with briefs and you end with briefs. And that is just a normal cycle of life. There's no shame or blame in that. And then how we treat our aging population and the dignity that we can allow them to have or help create them to have, or do the support for the families that are caring for them at home. 250 beds, 1,785 and older. That math doesn't pencil out. And so how do we help them remain living at home? And I love my job. We find humor in it all the time. The souls that work here are an amazing group, knowing that we're going to love someone and that they're going to pass away at home, and that we're going to feel very blessed that we helped them do what their wish was, and that was age in place.
Hi, Darlene. I was hoping I could ask a question real quick. Recently, we did a vote down at the city building in favor of you all. Could you talk a little bit about what that was for and if you were awarded that?
So it was a community development block grant, and that the city, a municipal, needs to submit that grant. And so it needs to have community support, which is all what happened while I was gone. We just submitted that grant with the city on Friday. That particular capital project will be to expand the kitchen and the dining room. And of course, every project doesn't fit within that $850,000 budget. And so we will definitely be going off into the community and some supporters and trying to hit that gap. But the sole purpose of this community block grant is to expand the kitchen. That the staff, we can do no more than 250 to 275 hot meals a day out of that kitchen. And right now we're at 225. And so we are getting very close to being able to max out what we can actually send out the back door to homebound seniors. Beautiful
Thank
thing.
you. Yeah, so that is not official yet, but it possibly could be.
Yes, could possibly be. Yes, I understand that we will know at the end of December or beginning of January, and so we're hoping that the committee that selects through the grant applications that they come in, that we're considered an individual that will, so we can do what we need to do.
Yeah, well, please let us know how we can help. Yeah,
Yes.
if it comes along, for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Heidi and Shay and I went down there and stood in the long line to sign that for you guys. And when we first walked in, we were like, whoa, what's happening? Like, why are there all these people here? And I think even the borough or the city, or anyhow, they had said they were completely ill prepared for the amount of people that came in support. And it was amazing to see that many individuals. So
yes,
it was pretty neat.
I was real sad that I wasn't here to see that, and that would have just tickled me to death to see all those individuals all lining up to support. So yeah. Amazing.
All right, well, do you want to do a tour?
Yes, let's try a tour. Let's try. All right, so I'm putting my mask on as we go, and I'm going to, let's see, I think everybody can hear me. Can you hear me, Sarah? Yes?
Yep, we can.
Right. Okay, great. And so really, we're just gonna kind of, so is that a good view? And so this is Bonnie Lowe, and this is Shauna, and both valuable employees here at the Senior Center. And this is our admin reception area, which is normally full with seniors waiting to leave and come and exercise classes. And this is what we consider our multi-purpose room. And this was created 4 years ago. We knocked out a bunch of walls and we created this space for additional lunch, exercise, meeting. AARP taxes comes in and they will do free taxes for seniors. And so this room enabled us to do an additional 25 individuals daily, which this is our dining room. And this was at one point in time our only room where we actually serviced, exercise. We have over 8,000 units of exercise classes that happened in this room a year, and on top of lunch, on top of exercise. And so this is our kitchen, and this is Chris. And Chris, if you can wave at the camera. And he is our cook, our chef, our figuring out how to find things and do things. And so this is our very humble kitchen. This building was built in 1973, and we utilize every space of this room to accomplish all of the units that Chris and his team put out every year. This was the girls' side, and this was where we did all of our pressing. Happened, we needed to be able to create 6 feet. Bye, Chris. We needed to be able to create a 6-foot social distancing space for the team. And so when we closed the door, we literally moved everything that the girls used to produce, seal, package, and set the drivers up for success out here in the dining room. And this is just really a validation for us that we are definitely in need of an expansion. That as long as we are out here in the dining room, we won't ever be able to bring seniors back in. And that is our primary goal, is to get people to come back in so that we can check up on them and love them and acknowledge them and get them the services that they need to live a fruitful life as they age in place. So that was our very quick tour. I told you it was a small building. And questions, anybody? Sarah, anything that I missed that you think everybody would need to know or would like to know?
No, I think you actually did a great job on the tour. There are some questions in the chat box, so maybe once you're back
down. Yep,
yeah,
I'll take the mask off, and so
yeah.
everybody, okay, there we go. Okay. All right.
So Carla, are you able to read the questions real quick? Do you mind kind of popping in?
Sure, not at all. We've got a question. Are seniors from a needy group? And let me read the other one that kind of maybe gives some context too. And Olga, you can weigh in if you'd like. How do seniors become qualified to stay at the center?
Oh, Darlene, you're muted. There.
So we don't do on-premise, seniors do not live with us, we're Monday through Friday. To qualify for any of our services, for some of our grants, there's an age component of 60 and older. There's no financial constraints, just really the age. Up until COVID, we were looking for individuals for Meals on Wheels that had some ADLs, activities of daily living challenges, walking, transferring, bathing. But with COVID, we've eliminated that. And so any senior that's 60 and older that needs nutrition into the home, that if somebody said, you know, I'm 70 and I don't have any challenges, and I'd be like, whew, lucky you, right? Let me pick you up and bring you here for lunch. And since we've closed now, that all of our nutrition is going out to individuals' residents. 74% of our 272 people that we serviced last year, because, you know, people come off and they go, whether if it's temporary service because they broke a hip or they pass away or they move into a different living facility, are at or below a poverty level of 15,000. And so we really do have a huge majority of the individuals that utilize our services are at that Social Security 15,000 or less.
Darlene, this is Carla, and maybe I'm stating the obvious, but you're feeding them one time a day, right?
That is correct. We are feeding them one time a day. We will feed them twice if we find that we have an individual that hasn't needs, and then we really have strategized about that shelf-stable meal being able to get in there and get some extra supplement in there.
Mm-hmm. I can't imagine trying to feed myself on that limited and then do all the other things that you have to pay for and feed myself on
anytime that we can get extra produce that way, anytime we can get extra snacks that way, we really do try to get that in so that way they can take that valuable money and put it on a prescription medication.
Okay.
And I think that's a valuable piece. If you don't mind if I hop in a little bit, Darlene. I think I've talked about this a little bit if you've been on some of the other presentations that we've done. So prior to coming to the United Way, I was the statewide director of independent living for Access Alaska, which is another one of United Way's partner agencies, but an agency that does phenomenal work. And part of their mission is also helping people stay in the community, in the home of their choice. So as Darlene's talked about, you know, their mission is to help people age in place. That was also, or that is, Access Alaska's mission as well. And they work with folks with disabilities as well as the aging population. And excuse me, I think it's so imperative that, again, we talk about how these agencies really do work together and how closely we as community service providers are able to provide that wraparound support. I had the honor of working with some of Darlene's staff while I was at Access, and Bonnie, who we just kind of briefly met, one of Darlene's staff, was one of my staff at Access. So she had left Access and went over to the senior center. And at Access, Bonnie was in charge of the Older Blind grant. So that was working with folks who were aging and who had a visual impairment. And I don't often use people's names, but I think that Charlotte would give us permission. So there was a woman named Charlotte who Bonnie, through this Older Blind program, had worked with at Access. And I came on to work with her kind of on a different case management level. So at Access, we were sort of tag teaming her. And then Charlotte also received meals from Meals on Wheels. And to me, the testament of the Meals on Wheels folks that go in and do that touch with, this is such a hard story still to talk about. They're able to make sure that our seniors are safe. So anyhow, let me just focus. I had really sort of pushed Charlotte to move into like Golden Towers or Golden Ages. She lived kind of out of town. She didn't live in the city. And she had a pretty rundown building that she lived in. I think it was pretty much like an ATCO trailer that had been cut in half. It was like a one-room trailer. And one of my visits over there, she had standing water in the bottom of her on the floor and had one extension cord running from one plug-in to a lamp with a carpet laid over the top of it so she didn't trip. And I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, she's going to get electrocuted or this is going to catch on fire. And I kept saying, Charlotte, please, can we just let's take you to a couple of places where we can help keep you safe. And she would always say, nope, this is where I live. This is where I'm going to die. This is where I live. We at Access had taken a rope, and it was actually Bonnie and Steve Martz who ran our DME closet. They had attached a rope from her front door to her outhouse because she didn't have indoor plumbing, so that she could walk along and not get lost using the bathroom and feeding her animals. So anyhow, that was how Charlotte lived. And we also had it set up that I think it was the first Tuesday of every month, the same cab driver would come and pick Charlotte up and take her to a doctor's appointment. And then she would pick up her prescriptions and they would do a little bit of shopping out in the community, whatever errand she needed run. And then this cab driver would take her home. So I want to say it was a Tuesday, or it must have been a Tuesday. We get this phone call at Access that said, from Meals on Wheels, that said, so weird situation. We went to take Charlotte's meals and her front door was open and she was nowhere to be found. And of course, that was completely out of the norm for this routine that had been going on. I don't even know how many years, but a long, long time. And so they reached out to us as well as animal control. And our agency really started having quite a few phone calls with Darlene's agency. Bonnie and I had called the troopers to do a welfare check. And at that point, they couldn't do a welfare check because they had said, well, we don't know that she's missing. We don't know that anything happened. She has the right to leave her home if she wants to, despite the fact that Darlene's staff and my staff were all saying, no, this isn't right. Something's not right. So Bonnie and I got in my truck and we drove to Charlotte's house and passed an animal control officer who turned around with us to go back to Charlotte's property. And we searched high and low, couldn't find her. Bonnie and I kept calling the troopers, and I think they must have gotten sick of us because eventually they said, okay, can you two stay where you're at and we will send somebody out to meet you guys. And so Bonnie and I are searching through the woods. And again, if you know where Charlotte lived, it was pretty remote, pretty scary. And we kind of walked as far as we felt comfortable in every direction before we just were like, all right, we don't want to get lost. And so we got back in my truck and kind of pulled out onto what would have been the main road. And all of a sudden we heard helicopters, or a helicopter way out in the distance. And we looked up, and at that point my cell phone rang, and it was the troopers saying, are you guys in this white truck? If you look up, you'll see the helicopter, search and rescue helicopter. And so we watched as this helicopter made these circles that just kept getting smaller and smaller as they were looking for Charlotte, until eventually we get a phone call that asked us to leave the premises. And we obviously knew something was wrong. And neither Bonnie nor I, and Bonnie's love for the aging population is probably second to none, I have to say. And neither one of us could leave until we knew what was happening. And as we were driving out of this remote road, I would think it was 3 trooper cars came flying past us with their lights on. And so we stopped at the top of this hill, and my cell phone rang, and it was an animal control officer who said, are you guys still at Charlotte's house? And I said, no, we're at the top of the hill. And we kind of explained what happened. And this incredible animal control officer said, well, I know I shouldn't tell you guys this, except I know how much you guys have loved and cared for her. But they found Charlotte deceased. And that was really tough. Charlotte, I believe, and I think Bonnie would say the same thing, we feel like Charlotte, she also had diabetes, I think went into some sort of a diabetic shock and wandered. How she got as far back into the woods as she did, I don't know. She was found floating in up a small pond, probably about 20 yards past where we had quit searching. And I remember Bonnie and I just crying all the way back to the office and really beating ourselves up for about 2 days, thinking we failed Charlotte. This isn't the way Charlotte should have died. And right, like just this awful feeling that we both had, until it was almost like instantly Bonnie and I realized Charlotte died exactly the way Charlotte wanted to die. Charlotte lived in the way she wanted to. And if you knew her and you knew the kind of woman she was, that is where she wanted to be. And I was telling Darlene a while back, I have shared that story when I was at Access with all of my incoming staff, because one of the things that was the core value at Access, which is, it falls straight in line with Darlene's agency, is our jobs are to support people to live the way that they want to live. It doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter what you think. At the end of the day, our job is to support people to live in whatever that looks like. And we did that. Darlene's team did that. And it's this moment where I think Charlotte was so blessed to have so many agencies that knew her and that supported her. And if it had not been for Meals on Wheels going out to do that direct touch and realizing there was something wrong, I don't know that Charlotte ever would have been found. I don't know that we could have had her body rested the way it needed to be rested. And to me, it isn't just about feeding people. It's about providing that support and knowing that you're there in case something's wrong. And I'm sure Darlene has many, many stories of, her volunteers that have been there and been able to step in when something wasn't okay with one of our incredible seniors in our community. And so, to this day, the story of Charlotte, I will never forget that for the rest of my life. And I think, I share this because I think it is important for people to know that, like I said, it's not just about serving them food. It's about making sure that they're okay. So
yeah, we work with Adult Protective Services probably once a month. We work with EMTs probably once every other week. And we find individuals that have passed away doing the very thing that Charlotte wanted to do, and that's right where she called home.
Yeah. This is Carla. Before we get to the top of the hour, I wanted to make sure that we knew how we shared with our employees that are new to be able to donate to the UAF campaign. And I think we've shared that with just about everyone. I see some familiar faces on here and some folks that haven't been here. So if you don't get enough time to walk through the how to donate on our payroll deduction form, that's what I was looking for, then we can certainly help you later as well. But did you want to go through that, Sarah, or?
Sarah, you're on mute.
Sorry. Thanks. We have been doing drawings at each of these two for some United Way t-shirts. So Casey Love and Julie Griswold, if you guys can email Carla and let her know your guys' t-shirt size, we will get some United Way merch to you guys too as a thank you. And on that note, real quick.
I'm sorry, I feel like I cut you off, Darlene, and I don't mean to do that at all.
No, it's a lunch break. It's a lunch break.
I know it's getting tight, but I wanted to let you know, we so appreciate you sharing the Senior Center information with us today. And it's always, I've learned so much this week, and I know that my husband Rocky has worked with you all in the past and probably in the future. So I will be seeing you soon, but thank you. I just felt like I cut you short.
All right, real quick, I'm going to just go through your guys' page, unitedwaytv.com/UAF. If you have donated already and it's been on our main page, donation page, don't worry, we will figure it out. We will get your information to UAF, but we prefer, if you have not donated and want to, that you use the UAF portal. This has our direct links to each of your guys' presentations. Tomorrow is our last one, so join us if you want for Breadline. This section is your guys' incredible prizes that you will be entered into for the drawing of. Here's our video that we already watched. And then this little section, the click here now, there's a UA authorization page that the university system needs for each one of you to fill out in order to authorize a payroll deduction if that's what you choose to do. My two quick caveats on that is, please make sure that you do not start your donation before January 1st if it's a payroll deduction, and do not select more than 26 pay periods because that will push us into the next campaign year. The rest of this is self-explanatory. You can choose an amount, you can click other and put your amount in. And then the only other thing is right here, your guys' employee employee ID number, just to please make sure that you enter that in as well. And then make sure that you send Carla an email today to you guys that you are here, and you will get that extra drawing for one Alaska Airlines ticket. So that is what I have for your guys' pledge form. We have 4 minutes, not that we have to fill it, but on behalf of the United Way, it really, I keep saying it, you guys are phenomenal. And we are so blessed to be able to share your guys' lunchtime with you. So thank you.
Yes, thank you for letting me share what we do here at the Senior Center. Greatly appreciate it.
It's pretty darn phenomenal seeing that kitchen, to think 65,000 meals.
65,000. Yeah.
I can't do that. In, it's about the size of my kitchen.
And at the rate we're going, we'll be hitting 72,000 this year. So yeah.
And real quick, the other plug I wanted to give, we have the Volunteer Action Center. We've already talked about it. You can find a link on the United Way's Facebook page for that. But I'm sure if Darlene's team has not gotten their page set up, they probably will fairly soon. I know that the Senior Center is always looking for volunteers. So if any of you have time or can just help us get the word out, I know Darlene's group is really struggling right now to meet all the needs with so many of their volunteers not being able to participate. So Volunteer Action Center, and also follow us all on Facebook.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Have a great day, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Who am I giving my shirt size to? Carla, was that you?
You can send it to me. That's fine. What's your first name?
Catherine Colleen, but they all just call me KC. My initials.
Okay. That's
and last name is Love. And
okay.
then, how are the shirts? Do they run small or large?
You know, I tend to get them a little bit larger just because I think that they're, I'm guessing they're not pre-shrunk.
Okay, so I'll just go with a large.
Yeah, I usually get that. And you know what? They could probably exchange it if you find that that's just too big.
That'll probably work just fine.
Okay.
And then I work up at the Institute of Arctic Biology. I think you can find that on my records.
Okay, great.
All right, thank you.
I'm waiting to shut off the recording.
Okay.
Oh, that's okay. No, I can clip it later too. Okay. I just was going to weigh in with the t-shirt question if you wanted. We do have multiple options. So there's like the standard t-shirt fit, or we do have some that are that relaxed t-shirt fit. So if you would prefer the relaxed t-shirt fit, just say so and we can make sure to get you one of those.
Yeah, so I guess medium relaxed t-shirt fit then. That'll give me some flexibility.
Okay, if you put that in the email to Carla, Sarah is coordinating the pickup and gathering those t-shirts. So we'll just choose the one that you wish. And we also have color options. I think the relaxed fit is coming in like a light blue United Way color. Okay.
And is your email included on the one we got for the oh, there you are up there. I guess I can. Oh no, that's not your email. That's just your.
No, I just put Carla's email up there for the t-shirt and the UAIDs and stuff.
All right. Well, thank you.
Sure.
It's a good presentation.
Thank you, Casey. Heidi, while we're on, will you, I don't know if Marcia's reached out to you folks, but on Thursday, I'm not sure who's going to be doing the